Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today. Hope you're all doing absolutely excellent. Today, I'm doing something I never thought I'd have the privilege to do. You see, my whole career on YouTube really began with Skyrim rare weapon and armor guides. From there, I just goofed and gaffed and gabbed my way all the way to the point we're at now. Frankly, I'm still figuring things out. But nonetheless, I do have a lot of nostalgia for that time I did guide-oriented content. And obviously, Skyrim was where I started things, but I never got to do guides or tips or tricks for games like Fallout 3 or Oblivion, some of my favorite games of all time. And I went over to Twitter and I asked a bunch of people, hey, how are you taking Oblivion if you're playing it for the first time? And so many people replied where I went, hey, this is a lot of folks' first time diving into Oblivion, and with the remaster introducing some new stuff, but also the original game being here and some just quick tips I could pass on to new fans stepping in, I thought it was just a real cool opportunity to kind of check a couple of things off the list. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. These are 10 things I wish I knew when I played Oblivion for the first time when I was, oh man, was I 11 years old? I'm turning 30. Oh, okay, hold on. God, I'm getting old. Come on. Okay, so let's get things started. First and foremost, I almost said in my impressions video that the local map was gone. Turns out it's still here with number 1. So let's say you're exploring Oblivion in 2006. You could pause the game and you had your world map, and then there was a tab that was a local map for the interiors. You could also use it when you were out in the open world if you wanted to, and it's pretty much just a heavily zoomed in version of the map you're already standing on. Now, when I went into the remaster, I thought it was gone. I was like, why would they get rid of this? Turns out they just tied it to the zoom feature. So this is really useful when you are in these dungeons that look very familiar for like the millionth time. It's easy to get spun around in Oblivion. You could admittedly just attach yourself to a quest that leads you out of the dungeon and use clairvoyance to get around. But if you want to make sure you're like me, you get every bit of loot, every rare weapon, every rare piece of armor, every spell, every gem, every piece of gold, using this local map will help you make sure you comb through every room and that there's no faded area that's left unexplored. Again, this may be obvious to some of you out there, but I thought it was gone, so I just want to make sure folks knew about it. Number 2, I just thought this was a really cool feature I wanted to point out here. It's better in games like, say, a Starfield, because Starfield continues the simulation, the game behind the character speaking, but you can go into a menu and you can actually turn off the dialogue camera transition. So as many people know, Oblivion, Fallout 3, all these different games, even Starfield, zoom the camera in very closely to the character's face, and everything around them freezes. Now, if that kind of disrupts your immersion for whatever reason, which there are people like that, like I love how Skyrim just keeps the world going, and if they're talking to you from a mile out, like that's the conversation right there. There's no zooming in or anything like that. So what I love is that they have the option here where you can turn it off, and so you can talk to people with the world slightly going on behind them. You'll see like behind this character, little banners are still flapping in the wind, but all the NPCs still freeze. I think this feature, it's great they added it in. It's cool because it's likely an indication that this will be in future remasters and hopefully also future Bethesda Game Studios games. For example, I didn't like how Starfield always zoomed in. It kind of just was disorienting and breaking me out of the experience. And when I actually turned it off, I found it to be a much better experience with how much talking that game has. But this game does have it. And if you're doing it in third person, it'll still zoom you into at least a first person point of view. Number 3 goes to controller mapping. There is hotkeying. Obviously, if you're on PC, keyboard and mouse, you already know about this. It's just for my console brethren out there. There are a few little hotkeys that are not assigned to your controller. Now, if you do have like an elite controller or some controller with bonus buttons on it, then this will be a better feature for you. But for me, I don't, for example, use the hotkey that brings me to my magic menu. So I took that button, which was left on the D-pad, and I remapped it to quick saving, because in this game, there's a lot of menus and sub-menus. It's funny because they tried to make the UI more user-friendly, and I think in some ways they just went in menu after menu, but nonetheless, you can just tie the quick saving to that, which is what I do. So I just hit left on the D-pad whenever I want to quick save, and it just keeps me from pausing the game a million times. So maybe that'll just save you a little bit of time if you were on consoles. Speaking of shortcuts, let's talk about shortcuts for combat. This is me self-owning just a little bit because it's something that people have complained about in my Fallout 3 gameplay before. And you know when you just do something for a while and it's just so ingrained in your being that you just, changing now is such a pain, right? For me, it was using hotkeys and shortcuts in combat. I never used it in Fallout 3, and I never used it in Oblivion. Something just changed with my brain with this remaster where I use it all the time now, and I'm like, dear God, I was so stupid. So if you don't know, you can go into your inventory, to your weapons tab, and you can highlight whatever weapon you want, whatever spell you want, and you can have them all in this weapon wheel. You press LB if you're using a Xbox controller, you bring up that whole wheel, you can equip any weapon. So if I want to switch to a quick restoration spell, then switch back to clairvoyance so I don't get spun around. This just saves you a lot of time, and it spares you from being an idiot like me who is just pausing games, switching in and out. Again, it was just grandfathered into me, so I wanted to call it out. 5, we're waiting for patches, but performance fixes might have a little bit of a solution for you after some testing if you're over on PC. So when I was playing this game, I immediately threw on DLSS. Something I realized, though, going back to Starfield is what makes this really interesting, is Starfield had FSR support pretty immediately because they did a partnership with AMD, but DLSS support came in very late for Starfield, and then things like FOV would come in later and all that weird stuff. Fortunately, Oblivion Remaster is very feature complete, in my opinion, on the PC front with the settings and the retooling of options available to you. I say all this because when you're in the open world of Oblivion, you'll have these moments where it will stutter heavily, no matter what your rig is. And I know some people are saying, welcome to the Unreal Engine 5 experience. But what I'm here to really point you toward is what I have done to give me pretty consistent 100+ frame rate on my PC that admittedly does have a 3080, but I've been playing on Ultra with steady frames. And what I did was I actually turned it on to FSR. Once I switched off of DLSS, the game started to run way, way better for me. I dialed up my sharpness a little bit, turned on frame generation, and that was it. I had literally no problems at all. Did it fix all the crashes? No, I've experienced 3 in 20 hours, but at least when I'm running around the world, it's nice that, you know, it's running smoothly. Number 6, one of my most requested features in Fallout has made its way here to Oblivion, and that is the map filter. Look, I know I make a lot of content on these games, so this is like a really weird request I've had, but the fact that Oblivion has a map filter is fantastic. So you can toggle on and off particular locations. If you want to revisit something, if it's not tied to a quest, if you wanted to say, for example, follow a guide, and you saw a guide and they said, go to this location or this dungeon, and you can't find it anywhere on the map, this filter allows you to actually change it from like caves to camps or turn them all off, whatever you want. But I just wanted to spotlight this feature because, my God, I've begged for this in Fallout because I've played these games so much, but I still struggle to find things on the maps because there are a million and one icons. I'm like, I know it's in this general area. It's like when you lose your wallet, you're like, I know I left it here somewhere. So these map filters are amazing. Make use of these toggles if you're looking for specific places. Again, if you're looking for like rare weapons, unique weapons and armor, and you're like following guides online, this will be very useful for you. Number 7, player homes. You might notice early on, you'll get loaded up with a lot of equipment. I mean, the tutorial area, I forgot just how much, like, here's a million lockpicks. Here's every piece of armor. Here's everything you need for the entirety of like your first 20 hours of the game. But the player housing is a little more ambiguous. If you make your way to the market district in the Imperial City, head to the Office of Imperial Commerce. Now, if you have 50+ disposition with this individual that you're going to speak to, this will be just a quick route to getting a home. If you don't, just bribe them, spend a little bit of money, it'll push you right over the top and you'll be good to go. But once you get to that 50 disposition, this is done via the persuading system for those who are new to all of this. What you'll be able to do is buy your house for 2,000 gold, which is really cheap after like a few hours of playing and gathering gems and Waylid stones and all this stuff that you'll find throughout the map, bonus equipment that you don't need at all, sell it all off to a vendor. You'll be able to buy this house, and this will unlock a quest that'll point you to your house. But before you do that, go to the Three Brothers Trade Goods shop in the market district. It's there. You talk to the vendor, go through the inventory, and you'll find different player housing things like a storage area. That's what I'd recommend you buy first because it'll give you a chest that you can store all of your junk in. For me, I have like a loot obsession with BGS games. Like I love finding the enchanted items. I love finding the unique items, the Daedric artifacts, of course, all that good stuff. Of course, again, I said Skyrim is what started my whole career with BGS games. It's because I was so obsessed with the unique weapons and armor that they added to that game. So this is just a place for you to store this stuff, and also a place just to spend a little bit of your money to get a dining area, a kitchen area, that sort of stuff, and get your player home in the waterfront all set up. It's not the only place you can get a player home, but it's a cheap, quick way to do so, where if you just need a place to drop off extra potions or whatever, this is where you go. Number 8, just a fun little thing I wanted to point out here is the weapon charge that's at the bottom right corner of the screen. Just something worth paying attention to, because there are enemies like ghosts, for example, that only die from enchanted items or from spells. So you can pay attention to that charge that your item has through that little blue aura that's around the weapon icon itself. And as you hit more enemies, you'll see throughout this dungeon that my weapon is going to gradually degrade in charge. And so if you want to make sure you maximize the effects on that weapon, you're going to have to keep it charged by using soul gems and re-enchanting them. If you've played Skyrim, this should be pretty familiar to you, but nonetheless, want to make sure you were aware of this little indicator here so that you know what status your weapon is at. Number 9 is an easy horse, right? I told you about an easy player house. Let me tell you about an easy horse. This is at the Wayne Priory. You talk to Joffrey, who is part of the main quest anyway, so you'll talk to him at that point anyway, and he's going to offer you assistance. He'll give you a bunch of items in a chest, but he'll also tell you about a horse that has been left behind that you can grab for yourself. Now, I actually forgot to grab the horse the first time around, and I won't spoil just in case you're new to Oblivion at all, but basically things kind of happen, and I was like, can I still get this? And even later in the story, you can come and pick up the horse just like I did. And so you'll have a free horse right there for you, no money at all, and you can just ride around the open world with that. Number 10, last little tip I got for you is just if you're doing a little bit of planning on how you're going to character build in the early parts of Oblivion. It's not quite like Skyrim where you can kind of be great at everything immediately. Oblivion is a little bit more hardcore. Like, it's the perfect hybrid between Morrowind and Skyrim. And so I want to make sure people are aware that there is a skills tab in your character menu, and it's there you can go to like your major and minor skills and just see what unlocks based on where you are at with that particular skill. So they're all ranked from 0 to 100, and as you just do things in the world, they'll progress. Now, there's ways to speedrun some of them. Like, if you want to speedrun your acrobatics, jump everywhere. Jump literally everywhere, you'll be good to go. If you want to get your sneak up fast, literally crouch walk everywhere. And especially if you have high speed while you're crouch walking, when you're in dungeons, you're not really even going to think about, you're like faster than most games' running speeds. But this will just let you plan out your build a little bit more, see what you can unlock. Like, I actually forgot that this game has a dodge feature, that if you hold LT and press Y, you can actually dodge and bob out of the way. So yeah, there's different little mechanics that are tucked into Oblivion and its progression system. And this might educate you a bit on maybe a future build, like what major skills do I want that get me over that hump a little bit quicker? That sort of thing. Just helping you out, again, for the new guys and gals around here. But nonetheless, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a cool video to make. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you tuning in to just 10 things I wish I knew the first time I was playing Oblivion Remaster. Just cool to be able to put out one little Oblivion guide video. But hopefully you found this useful. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts down below. Any tips you want to share with new Oblivion fans, fire away. Other than that, take excellent care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.